Hello, this is my second video log about job roles within the creative media industry. So there's a wide range of jobs within the media industry, each with their own methods of employment and route of entry. The media industry is notoriously hard to gain entry to, with funding having been cut by 15%, and that's from the House of Lords report in 2010. And that cut's been within mainly the last 10 years. The British Film Institute, Film Council and Skillset are continuously promoting and educating budding directors, producers, cinematographers, etc. The vast flexibility in jobs available means that there's a role for nearly everyone within the media industry, and most jobs have an interlinking role. So, for example, a screenwriter might also produce, or he might also direct. During this video log, I will look at the broad areas of employment and then specify 2 areas which particularly interest me. There are 7 sectors of employment within the industry. So I'm just going to go through these and just talk a little bit about a couple of the jobs for each, because there's so many. So firstly, creative. Jobs that fall within the creative field help with the visualisation of a production. They help set up the scene and maintain accuracy. Jobs include the director, he pretty much is in all areas actually, makeup artist, composer, so I think John Williams, actors and lighting directors. Lighting director is creative because it helps manage the feel of a scene. So second area is managerial. An effective manager will bring people together whilst making the best use of the resources. So we have to budget. We live in a world that is run by money. So we have to work within those constraints, and that's what a manager does. They're often a pivotal force from which decisions stem from. They usually don't have creative control, with the exception of a director, which directors are managers. Such jobs can also include casting producer, catering director, because you've got to eat, a unit nurse, yay, and accounts. Technical. So the next area is technical. Without technicians, film and TV wouldn't get made. We would still be sitting around dimly lit theatres, and they'd be dimly lit because there's no lighting, watching plays. Technical staff maintain and use all technical equipment, from cameramen to lighting technicians. Research, this is one I actually struggled with. Research is defined as, within a media context, comprise creative work undertaken on a systematic basis in order to increase the stock of knowledge, including knowledge of man, culture and society, and the use of this stock of knowledge to devise new applications. Now, obviously, every production has researchers, and I did kind of struggle with that one. But I guess that you also have director and their screenwriter. They'd be a bit of a research job. Casting director, because they're doing research, trying to get the right people for the right roles, etc. Right. Also, apparently, location scouts, because they'd be scouting for locations. Transport came up as being research based, so I'm not quite sure why that was. And also catering. Financial. So that's the management of funds. Finance deal with time, money and risk, and the interrelation of these areas. Jobs are producers, distributor and production accountants, and also director. Next area is organisational, which is the management of people, objects or projects. Jobs include location unit manager, catering and executive producer. 7th area is administrative, the universal process of organising people and resources efficiently. During a production, this may mean liaising with departments to execute the overall creative vision and maintain the smooth running of the production. Jobs include accounts, costing and paperwork administrator. That's another role I did not know existed till I did this. 2 specific jobs I am interested in is director and casting director. So I'm going to look at a director first. Okay, so there's many roles within the sphere of director. You could be a film director, an assistant director, a second assistant director. The director is the creative navigator. They have to work with all departments to push forward their creative vision. As well as a creative role, they also act as a manager and have to maintain budgets. So gone are the days where you could be the director of Cleopatra and run into millions and millions and millions each day and just get given the money. They're normally, they're involved from the beginning usually, and they're normally involved in script development. Many of them actually do screenwrite. A lot of them do things like screenwriting production so that they can have a lot of autonomous control. I think that's why a lot of people want to become directors, it's that autonomy. James Cameron is famous for writing, maybe not all, but in part most of his screenplays, including Avatar. They are often involved, as I said at the start of the project, they liaise with the casting director. If a director is changed partway through pre-production, this could often set back filming as the new director may have a different vision of the production and they may have to rework some of the aspects that have already been developed. They will typically interpret the script, envision the storyboard and help edit the product, which is why we see so many director's cuts of things. Important skills are remaining calm under pressure and delivering to tight deadlines, whilst being able to effectively manage large groups of people. The ability to balance creative autonomy with financial expectations is key. They must be able to inspire and motivate to achieve their brief. They work long and varied hours and are normally involved from start to finish, as I said before. Peter Jackson once stated that 2 hours before the premiere of The Fellowship of the Ring in New Zealand, he was actually still editing it. They'd done some reshoots the day before, and this was on like the DVD extras. How sad is that I actually watched them? They did some editing the day before, and then they finally got the rushes back from the special effects. And he was putting that in 2 hours before they were actually supposed to shoot it. They were cutting it all together. Entry routes varied, and most learning the practicalities on the job. However, there are lots of higher and further education courses available. The BFI also encourages continuous training through various intensive courses available to working directors. So you'll actually see lots of funding for people that are directors, so they can do like intensive 12-week courses, they can do masters, etc. Pay, it's how long's a piece of string. James Cameron said $350,000 for Avatar, but obviously someone who's just starting out may be doing things for nothing. In America, most film directors that are kind of established, so they're actually getting paid for work, can expect $16,000 a week for 10 weeks, which actually is pretty damn good. And it's part of their union agreements. In the UK, a TV director will normally earn between $1,000 to $2,000 a week. The role of so that's the role of a director. So secondly, I'm going to look at the role of a casting director. This role is vital if a film's going to succeed. The right actors bring the story to life and allow it to resonate with an audience. The casting director is the person who finds the right actors for each role, which doesn't necessarily mean the people you'd necessarily think were right. They work closely with the director and are usually well connected to other agents, actors and directors. Sometimes they can make controversial decisions that may go against the type of what the director originally wants. Although it's ultimately the director's decision, the casting director can persuade them. One such instance of unusual casting is in Django Unchained. Both Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio cast against type as a slave and a misogynistic plantation owner, respectively, by the casting director Victoria Roberts. Whilst the casting on face value, even though they're both brilliant actors, on face value it seems odd because they're both going against what we would expect them to do. This casting against type actually really helps build the tension and ultimately enhances the visual atmosphere of the film. Now, if you were to think of, I can't say his name, Damien Hewson, the guy that was in Gladiator and the Anthony Hopkins slave film, Armistead, that's it. as the slave, and Christopher Waltz, who is actually in the film, but him as in Leonardo DiCaprio's role. Now, both of them are actually playing roles similar to ones they've played before. They're both really good actors. But if you imagine them in their roles, it just wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't have be able to build the same creative tension, because those are roles that they can do in their sleep. So the film would ultimately have had a different overall feel. Casting directors work in many different ways. Some are employed by large studios or production companies, and those places are quite fierce to get into. Majority of freelance. Many casting directors will work with the same director, and you tend to get a good relationship with directors. And that relationship is kind of key, really, because if you want to cast somebody completely different, but you don't have a great relationship with the director, he's just going to go no. But if you do, then, you know, potentially that can change the whole course of a film. Most casting directors are employed for a number of weeks while the cast is assembled, although some castings can go on for much longer than that. Once that happens, their job on the production is usually finished. Key skills needed to be a successful casting director are working fast and accurately under pressure, an eye for unestablished talent, being organised, networking and marketing, maintaining calm during a crisis, and multitasking more than one production at a time. There's no set qualifications, just like with a director. Most study arts-based subjects and then kind of go into casting directing through other areas of the media. For example, contacts, or pretty much any area, really. Progression's usually a result of constant networking, and they can earn up to $250,000 for big budget films, although most, right at the beginning, will have to supplement their income with part-time jobs. So that is my second video log, which was very rushed, but thank you. Bye.